the thing would do it itself. All right. So I'm just going to have to click it every time that you guys start talking. But it's all right. I'll figure it out. Usually there's like a whole team around, but as you can see, this is a one-man band operation.
This is it's pretty exciting. So you're in the midst of a renovation here?
Yeah, absolutely. This was my, like I had mentioned, my grandpa was an immigrant, came over from Europe, built a machine shop here, and it had always been my dream to kind of remodel the building. And, since we own it, whatever money that we put into the building, we get back out because ultimately I am an only child, so I'll ultimately own the property. So I'd rather, put money and invest in something that I own versus paying rent to somebody else.
Yeah. That's the way to go. Well, that's the startup business model, right?
Absolutely. So do you guys have a shop or is your business primarily online? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we're an online retail shop for the moment, but we do all of our work based out of our studio here in Toronto. And we do ship globally, and it's definitely part of our goal to grow into more pop-up shops and eventually brick and mortar. But for now, we're strictly online.
Great.
Shopify, or find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course our website.
Awesome. So what I'll have you guys do once again is introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're from, and give a little bit of an intro of who you guys are.
All right. Well, nice to connect with you today. I'm Boyan.
I'm Natalie.
And we're galaxymade, the designers and founders.
From Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, one of the most unique places in the world.
Awesome. And what inspired you guys to start the brand? Could you give me a little bit of the backstory on that?
Yeah, of course. Well, we both come from very design, artistic, and expressive backgrounds. I'm an architectural designer, and I studied fine arts and architecture for a big part of my life. And as I went about it, I've always been drawn to fashion, and my wife, similarly, partner, has had a very close background with design as well and fashion.
Yeah, I've done, I studied fashion marketing for a little bit, and just always had an interest in art and just creating stuff, sewing. So we kind of put that all these skills together to kind of create galaxymade. It was a couple of years though in the making. So a lot of thinking and planning, but
was there any particular obstacles that you guys had to overcome? Different things that you guys had to sacrifice to make it possible? Talk about the different challenges that you guys had.
Well, we're young adults, and we've had this vision from right after we started. We met actually at the University of Waterloo and also in Ontario here in Canada. And since then, the two of us have known each other, and we've always had this, unique passion for expressing ourselves and having fun and learning. Many years later now, we're actually a family, and we recently introduced our baby girl into the world, and that was really the inspiration for us to really motivate us into starting galaxymade.
Great.
It's definitely
congratulations.
Been one of the things that thank you very much. It's been the challenge has been overcoming, both balancing, of course,
family and life,
work, but also the work.
Yep, absolutely. And I think, typically what I ask a lot of people is, who is the team around you? Is it just you guys working together as partners, or are there other people supporting your business?
Well, me and Boyan, we do all the creative aspects of the brand and marketing, but to be honest, I think we would have to say the grandparents are
they're
our support system.
They're the key MVPs because
look at where I'm at. Look at where I'm. We're talking about the same thing here. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
Shout out to the
everyone
Uma
always
and the
thinks,
Opas out there.
yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone always thinks that it's like this glamorous thing all the time, and you see the pictures on Instagram and on our website, and it's going great. But in the background, we definitely have our family supporting us. They're able to, take the kids when we need to do interviews or
Sure, sure.
to sew a couple of things. And so I would say, even though me and Boyan do a lot of the upfront stuff, behind the scenes, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time and energy. And the grandparents, you
Yeah,
get 10 out of 10 for that.
absolutely. And what would you say, has your experience been with interviews? Is this the first interview that you've experienced? Talk a little bit about, the different interactions that you've had, because you guys actually inspired me to start, dipping my toes into Zoom. I was, really comfortable just producing, audio-only podcasts, very laid back. And then over the past 2-3 weeks, I've been on the journey to figure out Zoom, and Zoom wasn't that great a quality, so I went over to Ecamm, and now I'm porting in from Skype. So what sort of experience have you guys had with interviews?
Well, we've had a few interactions with people through social media since we started, and trying to reach out to various promotion networks and getting as many people to learn about our brand and what our messages with our designs and our ultimate vision. But definitely, you are our first interview and podcast over video. So
Nice. And that was all you. And that was all you. That I hold, you guys in great regard, because it pushed me in this direction, and it's been successful. I think the first video podcast that I did hit like 1,000 views, so definitely a big shout out to you guys. But I think he was also, full disclosure, I think he was using YouTube advertising, based on the analytics. I don't want to blow anybody up here, but I'm a full disclosure kind of guy. But in talking about your master plan, more on the short term, and then we can get into the long term aspect as well. What would you say are your short-term goals, and then we can get into more long-term stuff?
Of course. Well,
yeah.
Like we introduced ourselves, we are designers. Our fashion company, galaxymade, really represents our philosophy and our ideas on streetwear and how to express yourself in fashion. And so the short-term goal is definitely to get as many people to see what we have in mind that they can connect with, and
the aesthetic.
They can share as much of our philosophy and our aesthetic and our ultimate wish for the world, which is unity and everyone to be able to express themselves together and in peace, and really to embrace the fact that although we're small communities and we have individual groups that might not know each other, but over time, with education, connection in art and fashion, we can all connect together and really
groups of like-minded individual. Absolutely.
Part of it with galaxymade.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think that really ties into the long-term goal, which is we really want to build a community of different artists and connect with other people, and really try to, it's been crazy the last couple of months. We talked to people from all over the world, and we really didn't think that was possible for starting this journey. And now it's like we speak to people from Nigeria and like in the States. And so just being able to build a community of different artists to, work together and collaborate, I think would be the ultimate goal for galaxymade.
Sure. Now, how do you guys actually produce your clothing? Like, is it in-house? Is it out-of-house? Like, what's that whole process looking like?
So we have a variety of processes and different fabrications that we've worked on. We do a lot of our design work, of course, starts in here in the studio. We do a lot of our prototyping, and we have been able to connect with some local partners that are able to offer up their screen printing shops to make some of our designs a reality. So we've done a lot of growth and experimentation with that. But we've also been very homegrown in the sense that we also produce a lot of tie-dyes. We do all of that in our studio. And we've been doing a lot of the sewing for a lot of our embellishments, and appliques are also done in-house. We have this old sturdy Omega industrial sewing machine that we've been definitely putting to use.
Great.
It's kind of an exciting process to test, prototype, and then send things out and meet new people that can help us realize the vision.
Yeah, and then do you guys have anything to announce? Do you guys have anything coming up? Like, is there anything that you specifically want to talk about?
Yeah, so I think we're just going to continue with our launch of different products coming down the pipeline.
More T-shirts.
Yeah, more T-shirts. That will always be a staple for galaxymade.
The universal clothing.
Yeah, but we have headwear, accessories. We're thinking bucket hats.
Yeah, we definitely are working on some bucket hats.
Some lederhosen. You know, some galaxymade lederhosen. You know.
Well, October's just around the corner.
Yeah, there we go. You know,
and keeping busy with like our remade portion of the brand, which we use upcycled fabrics.
That's cool.
So I mean, we want to be a little bit more sustainable, and so we're just doing sewing a lot.
Yeah, a commercial just like flashed through my brain about like following the journey of like the original clothing, and then it lands here, and then it's reused and ends up in your guys' I don't know, that just like flashed around my brain.
I think that's definitely one of the things that, you know, starting out as young designers and being new onto the scene, in a way we've learned a lot about just the industry. I mean, part of my background is also looking at sustainability for buildings, but when it comes to fashion, it's definitely one of the biggest producers of potential effects on waste and environment, and we definitely want to see how we can take advantage of things that are unwanted. We have a collection of clothing that we do go shopping for at vintage stores, and we get some of our old pieces that we want to give a second life, and that's been a new initiative, Galaxy Remade, that we're really proud to keep going. Right now, it's primarily hair accessories. We have a scrunchie line, but we'll definitely be looking into expanding that into a few more things. Definitely hopefully some more hair accessories that are geared for the men.
Yeah, nice. Or the beard, some beard. Some
that's the thing. We got. We've been experimenting with masks, with the demand, of course, being so important with COVID.
Yeah.
So we're working.
How and I guess that's an appropriate question as well. How would you say that COVID has affected your business?
It's funny. We actually, as Natalie mentioned, we've been working on this for a few years to get all of our ideas and our vision aligned, and it was really at the end of the year we started this big push to get our website ready of 2019, and when March came of 2020, we were ready to go. And as soon as we launched our website, essentially the entire world shuts down.
Yeah, it was like lockdown, like complete lockdown. And we're like trying to sell, something where it's like fashion, right? You want to try a piece on, or you want to
we want to get the word out,
And it was complete lockdown. So it was the scary. I think it was probably one of the scariest things to experience, because we were so excited to launch something. We've been thinking about it for a couple of years and planning, and then Corona hit, and it just kind of put a little damper, but we just kind of worked through it. And
we took advantage of everything that Instagram and Facebook and Twitter had to offer to help small businesses out and keep social distance worked away in our.
Well, and like you said, you have a e-commerce, business to a certain extent, so it's not like you're having to deal with overhead as far as the store is concerned or different things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it was also too just. We had plans to kind of maybe meet with other local artists at, for example, markets, and when those plans got canceled, you just have to start thinking, what is the next option. And
talk about that. Talk about your local community. Like, obviously you can't be too close to them right now, but what sort of, I ask this to a lot of artists, what their community is, but what's your community like there?
Well, Toronto's got a very active and vibrant fashion, art, music scene. Of course, I'm sure everyone knows some of our local Toronto artists. Shout out Drake.
Yeah, he's thinking about going independent right now, and it's gonna totally transform the whole entertainment business. If he decides to go independent.
That would be amazing, because honestly, I think that's a big part of a lot of the Toronto scene, is that for a long time, Toronto's kind of been always this kind of shadow in the background of American cities.
Oh yeah.
Nobody really knew about the kind of very cosmopolitan and mixed urban lifestyle that we have. We have so many people from around the world here, and it's a lot of independent businesses that really founded Toronto. And definitely a lot of the community around us. Like, one of our main things was really to try and engage with a lot of the shops that are part of the scene. That a lot of skateboard shops and streetwear shops that are all involved in some of the really kind of outdoor events and markets in some of the cities, kind of up and coming and resilient, youthful neighborhoods. We got Kensington Market, Trinity Bellwoods. A lot of great designers from those areas that we were really hoping to get in touch with when we started, but we're now finally getting back into the ease of things, and things are opening up, and we're trying to really keep that effort and energy going, because it's
well, think about it. If you were able to get through this, you're going to be able to get through anything. That's really what it comes down to. We all
positive.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we stand for, right? It's positivity is unity, and what helps us get forward. And
oh yeah, for sure. And I think that finding other like-minded people that share the same interests and the same, instead of like mutually assured destruction, mutually assured success. That if you're not successful, I'm not going to be successful. And if you're not making money, I'm not going to be making money. And if I'm nickeling and diming you and you're broke, that it's like trying to, you're a baby calf and you're trying to get milk out and there's nothing in the udders, like you're going to die. You've got to make sure you take care of that,
we're all
business
in this together.
Absolutely.
It's so true.
Yeah. We actually had a conversation about that recently, where we were just kind of reflecting on, because Boyan's been like in the corporate world. He still works for an architecture firm, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. So, in the past, working with, in the corporate environment, it was just, you can only succeed so much. And so we've kind of always thought, if we got to do things our way, how are we going to make it better? And one of the main key factors was, we want to build a community where we can all grow together and we can be successful together. And if we need a designer or work with some artist from Toronto, and we can help build a portfolio for them, that'd be great. And if they need some assistance with something galaxymade, like, we would love to work with them and collaborate so that we can everybody move up together. And that really is like that was the goal, was to build a community, because at the end of the day, we're all human, we're all in this together, and onward and upwards, I guess.
Sure.
And definitely we're all independent artists in a way. Yourself. You're a podcast artist. We're fashion artists, and and designers, but at the end of the day, as independent people, we have to collaborate to really make it to the next stage, and that's the whole point of building the community, is getting to work with people, to talk to people, to talk to you, and get to know your perspective on life. You learn our perspective, and if we make something happen, it's only going to be for the better.
Absolutely.
That's definitely our philosophy with our work, our philosophy with our growth, and it's kind of what inspired us to establish an entity that we could actually express our independence, but also exert our ability to openly have control of who we interact with and what we do. And I think, as Natalie was saying, working in a company for a large corporation is it's definitely got its positives, but it's sometimes it's difficult to assert your own vision.
Well, it really comes down to equity. It really comes down to equity. That, sure, they may be paying you a paycheck, but you actually don't own any percentage of the company. So at no point do you really have a stronghold within that company, that at any moment you're disposable, and whatever effort that you put, a situation like this, that whatever effort that I put into this building, I'm going to get back out because I own it. And I think as independent people, the way that I gauge success, because I went to business management school, and I'd always, someone would ask, what's your definition of success, in the beginning of the class, and, it's how many people that you're able to help, because as an individual, you could get a 9-to-5 job, put the money into the market, buy, a house, pay it off, sure, you're going to retire, you're going to be happy, but anybody can make themselves successful. That's easy. But how many people are you able to replicate that same success? It's like a teacher, before, until you start teaching people, that's when you really become a master at your craft. And unfortunately today, a lot of people that I talk to is from the independent mindset, is everybody wants to be a boss rather than a team player. And I think, in my opinion, at least, we were talking about my mindset, that for me, it is important, although we do want to remain independent, but to also, realize what our positions are and what our contributions can be. Because often I think as independent people, we have way too many individual businesses rather than one cohesive corporation, in a sense, because you got to think about it. If corporations, the only reason why corporations are successful is because they're groups of like-minded people. So we have to start thinking and building our community like a corporation, in a sense, because ultimately that's the successful format, in a sense, and I think
it's organized, and being on the same track is definitely,
because I think there's saturation
the key
there
to success in communicating something as part of a group. And definitely, I mean, it's possible to achieve.
Have you guys thought about that? Like interacting with different startups and like seeing the saturation, because really the door is wide open. Anybody can spend a couple $1,000s, buy a laptop, buy a camera, that it's kind of saturated to a certain extent. And same thing with merchandise and, different things like that. Have you guys thought about that or experienced that? Or obviously with your reusability, that's, a different aspect of it. But that's, I was just throwing out my thought process there as far as saturation and how we're going to overcome it.
I think to be honest, the saturation it's really just the perspective, right? And it's in context. If you look at a lot of industries, music industry, there are so many music artists that are new, up and coming, and it seems like almost every year you have a stockpile of 1,000 new artists that are all producing new music. But in a way that's the beauty of it, right? Is everyone has their own voice or their own inspiration or their own vision that, you know, we all sometimes have an urge and an inspiration to share what we believe in or what we're thinking about. And I think having that kind of becomes something that's a bit of a trend in the fashion industry, is a lot of underground designers are able to very easily put their content out with the internet, and social influence, of course, is a big part of that. But being able to express one viewpoint, I think, is one of the beauties of being human, is that we all have a unique perspective on life.
That's cool. Yeah, I just like asking that.
There's no limit to how many more perspectives.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd be open to see, because the more people that I learn about and know about how they stand in life, and the more people learn about our position.
For sure.
As individuals.
For sure. Yeah, I just like asking. Like asking that question, because it always gives an interesting perspective. And where can people find you?
Well, you can definitely find us on our website to check out all our latest drops, all our latest merchandise, www.galaxymade.com. But the most active way that you can engage and interact with is definitely Instagram at Galaxymade Official. We're also on Twitter and on TikTok. Hopefully, if that doesn't get blocked in the States.
Yeah, Microsoft is buying it, so it's all right. It seems.
Yeah, well, we got Instagram Reels, so we're gonna be definitely.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys.
The social market.
I want to thank you guys for coming on, and for sure. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, now that we've had a chance to meet you, thank you again for having us on your show. This has definitely been pretty amazing and pretty humbling to be able to connect with another like-minded young entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we'd be interested to know, what are your next steps with the renovation?
Yeah, really, we're working on self-leveling concrete to level the ground behind us, and then once we level it, we're going to go ahead and paint it, because in front of me there's actually like 1,000-pound door that we just built out of like solid wood for soundproofing. We're able to bring in cars. So that's another aspect of the studio, is that we're able to bring in cars. And so this little space is about 1,100 square foot. And then we have the total building is about 3,600 square foot. So over there's about, give or take, 1,000. And then there's a little office and a little, but my priority is this room, because this is what's going to make us money. Sure, it would be nice to get the whole building together, but we got to make sure we're able to make money before we dip any more money into it. But the concrete flooring, the cyclorama, we're going to do a 3-foot curve, so it cuts out on all the edges and different things, and we got to spend some money on buying some more production, photography, videography lights. These are $20 shop lights from Sam's. But and then as far as the podcast goes, due to the virus, I had been doing a lot of in-person interviews, and that really wasn't a possibility anymore. So I started reaching out to people outside of my area, and it's been pretty successful. I've built a solid 100 or so subscribers in the past month or so, and I just had to push myself, because I was sitting at home and I'm like, man, what can I create? Because I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. I would rather be behind the scenes and have a talent here and me running the system. That's what I would much prefer. But given the fact that it is what it is, I'm obviously a talker. I can ask questions, I can be direct, but it's tough, dealing with the lighting, the cameras, the editing, the software, but I don't really put limits on myself, so whether or not it's podcasting today or, videography, editing, producing. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and I've also
we definitely know where you're coming from. It's
Yeah.
the same situation over here. It's in a way, it's like we're doing all the heavy lifting. The background scenes is really
Sure.
the part that no one sees, and you know, like from using Photoshop and Illustrator, and putting out all the coding on the website, and getting everything organized and logistics. And
yeah, I'm glad you're
definitely
using
something
Illustrator.
we're enjoying learning.
Yeah, I've heard of other graphic designers using Photoshop instead of like vectors through Illustrator, and I'm like, oh no. That's like I've got this designer that designed our logo, but it was a JPEG. So I had to like pay like $50 to go get it digitized or something along those lines, and it's just like, dude, you're so great in Photoshop. Please learn Illustrator. It would change your life, please.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to learn it in my architectural career, and it's
Nice.
definitely something I've definitely carried over. I got an eye for detail, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand the whole thing about vectors versus raster.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
say Wayne is definitely the designer. Like, I'm the approver.
Nice. Have you guys ever seen like the H3H3 podcast with Ethan and Elo with Teddy Fresh? Have you ever heard of Teddy Fresh brand at all?
No.
Like they kind of have the same sort of, like a different kind of flavor, but the same sort of like flavor, and it's like a wife and a husband type of deal, and she's the one that kind of handles all the okaying and different things. Maybe somebody to check out. I think they're at Zoomies now. I was on a production set, and one of my producers, they had one of the shirts on, and they didn't even know who it was from. But I guess when you go to Zoomies, it's not like you know who produces the clothing.
Yeah.
But
Well, hopefully one day we'll
be in
see
Zoomies.
Galaxymade
Yeah, I mean,
more
I could
stores.
see you guys in Zoomies. That's why I bring it up. That it's like that may be the play. Hit up Zoomies.
Until then,
Yep.
hit up galaxymade.com.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And, yeah, definitely. If you need any design assistance or any advice, hit us
For
up.
sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Help you out as well.
It's funny because it's like, for me, like I've used teespring.com. I started messing around with that, but I'm the sort of designer, like I'm the step 2 designer. I'm not the initial inspiration guy, but if someone can hand me a vector that they've already created out of thin air, I can then manipulate it very well. That's kind of my skill level.
I feel like with me, I mean, we've known each other for a really long time, so I think now it's gotten to the point where Boyne knows exactly what I want to try to convey.
It's a telepathic communication.
Yeah, it's telepathic at this point. But I mean, I can't draw at all. Literally, my drawings are stick figures. But then Boyne.
She says she can, but the reality is some of our best ideas have come from her hand.
Yeah.
Nice.
But then Boyne makes it.
Exactly. And you need somebody like that. That it's like that seed of inspiration, that and that's what's the word that people don't account for enough. Like, how can you account for that, really? That
it's like balance, right? Yin and yang, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's everything someone can strive for in a business and in a relationship, to have that sort of work-life balance. And so, yeah, I also, growing up, was a big fan of architecture and different things. But then once I realized all the math involved, I'm like, all right, there's no way this is going to be possible. But, nowadays with computers, like, how much actual math are you doing? How much is the programs itself doing? Like, if you're interested to talk a little bit about modern day architecture, design, and stuff a little bit.
I mean, to be honest, if this is like for any design, really, whenever you're using a computer, I remember at high school learning about calculus and thinking like, wow, like we're learning about how to calculate areas under curves and graphing things. And like now that I think about it, like that's what all these computer programs do automatically, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
their code work is behind the scenes. So it's like I don't have to do any calculus to draw a curve on Photoshop or on Illustrator. But you know, it's definitely what powers and enables so many of us to do our jobs. It's whether it's architecture and any kind of creative work. You, in a way, technology is this tool that like lets us have the least amount of thinking about
efficiency,
how we're actually going to get it done, and instead focusing on what the idea is and just putting all the energy on the concept, and really the tools are a way to kind of help realize that. I mean, definitely there's skills involved in using the tool, but
yeah, because I mean the moment that like computers
dependent on the math.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, once the computers can actually create, that's when we're all, you know, that's the end of civilization right there, you know. Unfortunately, you know, because they're not really going to give, they're really, you know, with AI. And are you guys a big like Elon Musk fan, or, you know, Neuralink or anything like that? Do you guys follow Elon Musk at all?
I follow Grimes.
Grimes, there you go. Yeah, tell me about her.
Well, she's actually Canadian, right?
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, she's Canadian. I mean, I was kidding. I'm not really like
that big of a fan. Yeah, but I just assumed that you would know. I didn't know she was Canadian, so I learned something. So that's great.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk also was spent a lot of his childhood in Toronto, and
at like was it like a wood chip manufacturer or what?
So I remember reading.
I watched a podcast that his uncle was up there, and he had to like clean out a incinerator or something once a month or something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it might be something like that, like a family warehouse or company that was up here, and I mean it's. I'm a big fan of a lot of futuristic stuff. I mean,
yeah, who would you say? Do you watch Joe Rogan? Like, what are your guys' interests?
I mean, we're definitely very interested in the cosmos. I mean, our company name Galaxymade.
Oh, that's true.
Really is about our connection as humans living on this rock, moving through space, and really the fact that we all come from the same
galaxy,
particles that make up everything that's whimsical and magical and chaotic about the universe, and somehow all of it came together to make this planet that we're sitting on top of. And you know, I think that's the whole goal, is that for us to kind of be united as a global species, as we gotta have to look outwards in a way and remind ourselves of where we came from. And I guess that's the concept, is that we're all galaxy made.
Sure. I love that. And I think, you know, Elon has asked, you know, more than 1 million people to colonize Mars over the next 100 years. You know, so that's one part of my business where, you know, could you guys see yourself, you know, going to Mars?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I'm like,
if the Starship can take us.
Exactly. And I think, you know, and whether or not it's the virus, you know, well, it's like $200,000 per person. I think it's like the average median household, right?
Hopefully by then it's not that expensive.
And it has to be couples, so you guys are straight on that, you know. And then
bring wine up there.
Yep. Well, like Elon said, like he needs everybody. He needs winemakers. He needs pizza guys. You know, every aspect. I want to create my Donnerschwaben club on Mars, you know, to bring my culture to the next planet. That's because nobody else is going to do it. You know, there's probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. And actually, there's somebody from SpaceX that is a part of our organization that lives in California. And I met her in Detroit, and she had a SpaceX shirt, and I about, you know, fainted. And I'm asking her all these questions, and she's like, Tony, you know what people aren't considering is once we leave the magnetic force field of our planet, the amount of radiation that's going to hit our bodies is basically like terrible. So they haven't yet figured that out, like how our bodies are going to interact once we move outside of that magnetic waves or force fields or pool or whatever you want to call it. But we're going to end up in some ice caves under Mars. That seems to be the most hospitable place.
The only way to survive on Mars is try to create your own atmosphere when there's little atmosphere to protect.
Yep,
right? So
yep. And then Elon wants to,
the metal coatings and the special polymers on the spaceships.
Yep.
I actually follow some of the cool stuff about Mars habitat designs and competitions.
Yeah.
So a lot of them really it's pretty neat. They
3D printer stuff. Yeah.
Build these giant.
And it would be good for homeless people here too. Once they figure out the solutions of how to do that, then they can implement it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we could just print homes out of dirt, that would be the holy grail for.
Yeah, humanity. Because think about it, whether or not it's termites or weather or all kinds of things, waste. How much waste is there in house construction? And how many people really would not mind living in multiple places? Like my own personal dream. To sure have like a compound that I can come home to, but travel around, and whether or not that's Airbnbs, but think about Airbnbs but made out of dirt, that's relatively free, like a co-op type of thing. I don't know.
Maybe in the future we'll have drones that you can just click on command and it'll go to some place and make your Airbnb.
Exactly.
And then when you're done your vacation, it brings it all back to Earth.
Nice.
5 degrees. So,
yeah, and I like, bringing up, because that's the nice thing about having a podcast. Like, you can really go anywhere with the conversation, and you guys are specifically the galaxy, so it's kind of on topic. Is there anything else on your guys' mind that you would like to talk about?
Well, definitely we're excited to kind of start exploring some more places once things start to open up from COVID. And if the borders to America open up, we'd definitely love to come down to Ohio. And
wow. So are the borders not open? Are the borders not open?
Well, bars are open, but still...
the borders.
Sorry, I heard bars. Bars are open, but it's patios only.
Yeah.
No, it's the borders. From what we understand, I think it's just like non-discretionary. They call it.
Oh, really?
So as long as you have like family, or if you have like a important reason why you need to go, like essential travel, like if it's like very
important
for work or for family reasons, then people can still cross.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have you guys back on. If you guys have anything else to talk about in the future, that I'm definitely going to be open to it. It's a little bit difficult right now, like obviously with the construction, that every time I want to set up an interview, I've got to set up everything, and it's been pretty uncomfortable for me that my contractor, full disclosure, it's a family, part of family, but he's not willing to be on camera, so all of that content I've missed out on, and the only time that I'm really able to film any of these is when he's not in town, so he'll come in for a week and he won't communicate when he's in town, and I don't want to complain too much, but I don't know how much you guys have dealt with family, but it's a wild experience. I mean, we're coming on our around 2-year anniversary. I mean, can you believe that? That if I didn't own this building, like how ridiculous that would be, like wasting 2 years of rent. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, but it's hard because it's like when you're dealing with family, people can often take advantage of you. That under what circumstances would a business would tolerate, being running for 2 years? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I guess that's the main benefit of, if you own the space. And
Yeah.
in our case, like, we have our studio in our house, so
Yeah.
we're lucky to be able to pace everything the way that it works for us and our
Yeah.
family, and
Yeah,
and
and
try to grow as quickly, but also
In our
as
own
calmly as we
Yeah.
can, so we're
exactly.
not stressing ourselves out.
Exactly. And I think, dealing with family and dealing with loved ones, like, it always complicates things. And what's nice is our house is on the same property. So it's like about an acre and a half. Our neighbor has 5 acres, and it's a nice little, if I was anywhere else, this property would be probably worth, a good chunk of chains, but I'm in the middle of Cincinnati, about 45 minutes outside of Cincinnati, somewhat in the middle of nowhere. But when my grandpa, they lived more in the urban area, and the cheapest land was out here. So he, traveled 45 minutes back and forth, and, had a little house and remodel it, obviously. But he passed away when I was much younger. But, the same entrepreneurial spirit is in me. Have you guys had that experience with the rest of your family running businesses? Or, what would you say inspired you to start the business, other than, trying to build a community and different things like that? Like, who around you has that inspired you at all? Like, different businesses that anybody else?
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think both our parents, our families, they're immigrants. So I'm first generation Canadian. Boyan was
I was born in Bulgaria, and yeah, I'm a Canadian citizen now, but I came here at a very young age, at 6 years old. And I think both of us, having seen our parents make this decision to leave where they came from and to come to Canada. And I mean, this is such a common story for a lot of people in the world that, move from, even from a small town to a big city. It's the commitment to explore something new and to try something new, to, leave a different legacy, or I guess a better legacy in a way, for your kids.
Yeah, in short, and obviously and some people didn't have a choice, that, like, with my grandparents, the Russians were coming from one side, so, we had to get the hell out of there. But so, have you been back to Bolivia?
I'm born in Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. Tell me about it.
Well, it's a very small country. It's funny, actually. My wife's background is Ecuadorian, so they're kind of like similar size country, landmass, similar population, about like 7 million Bulgarians. I think it's like Ecuador's maybe 10, or 9, something like that. But
We've been there, though.
A unique place.
Yeah, what's the culture? Because, the most important thing, is to build that emotional connection with the audience. So I like, asking more personal questions too, because it's kind of, if it's just like on the surface, that's kind of boring. So I kind of like, going into the more emotional side of things, because if your audience can grow emotionally with you, when you release something, they'll be like, oh, I love these guys, like I know their story, So tell me about the culture.
Well, it's definitely it was an interesting culture from my memories of it when I was there, like up until I was 6 years old. So Bulgaria used to be a former communist Soviet country, and a lot of the influence that Bulgaria got from the Western world had to be, very much like smuggled in a way, and it was this very large underground scene of people bringing in music like Beatles and Led Zeppelin and rock artists from Western Europe and from America, and to Coca-Cola and things like that. And seeing how that was a big part of where I grew up, where there was this kind of thirst that just like had to be quenched by people, even if it wasn't available that freely in this community. It kind of made a lot of people become very resourceful. And in my family in particular, I have like a really interesting story where my grandfather who I didn't know very well, but he had his own shop making like lemonade, like a bottling plant that made like a carbonated lemon drink, and it was taken over by the government, by the communist government at the time, and he had to serve jail time, and it was like a very difficult thing for that part of my family that side of my family to experience. But seeing that spirit of my grandpa, still carry on, and my parents, they ended up actually starting their own cafe and had like their own business in Toronto as well. When they came here, they opened up a flower shop, it's like seeing the difficulty that you have to overcome sometimes in society, and then when you come to a place like Canada and you have all these resources, but the challenge is just as real. And just to see that ambition of my immigrant parents do that, I think it was a big inspiration for myself to want my family and my kind of vision to also be expressed.
Well, and also to make a good impression on your children too. So they have that same sort of upbringing where they can admire their parents for being entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah, definitely. With my parents, it was a little different experience. They came from Ecuador. They met in Canada, and my dad, he was a teacher, so he just kind of went to school, and I remember when I was a kid thinking like, wow, my dad doesn't like speak English and stuff, but he's Superman, he can do it. So I feel like I just want my kids to think that about us, that we work hard, but we could do it, and there's going to be barriers and times that aren't going to be the best, but you can make it. There's so many resources out there for you, and we can flourish.
Yeah, and I think those obstacles are what actually make people who they are. That when you see somebody that hasn't had any obstacles, like, in business, whenever you're working with somebody that, let's say, comes from money or has money, they don't have the same sort of pressure on them or the same amount of, like I said, pressure, to succeed.
Being resourceful or trying to
in a similar situation with my family too, and I know for a lot of the audience they can probably connect, and that's why I like asking these. That my great grandma, they had a convenience store in the middle of the town in Arlheim or something like Romania, Austria, Romania or something like that. And same thing, when the army said, hey, the Russians are going to be there in about 3 days, you guys got to pack up and leave. And then several years later, my grandparents returned, and the Russians had turned it into a bar, and they didn't even allow my grandparents to come in or check out the place or anything like that. I haven't been there, but similar situation. The Soviets coming in and just taking people's businesses and homes, and I digress. But we all can share that same experience here. But look at us now. We're chilling, and Canada and America's pretty dope. And obviously now it's time to head to Mars because the country is basically over. But it is what it is. It's
hopefully there's no corona on Mars.
Well, that's I'm sure that there'll be because thinking about it for all these years, I'm like, why is Elon Musk doing this? And then realizing whether or not it's meteors, because we need an insurance plan, because with meteors or with diseases or with nukes, at any moment all of our society could be wiped out. And that with Mars, we need that insurance plan of, having life being multi-planetary, and I'm sure.
Right. It's the only way to ensure our survival.
Exactly. And
something catastrophic happens here, like an asteroid is.
Yeah. I mean.
At least hoping that by that point, we're at least on our way to Mars.
Yeah.
And I think, we don't have that sort of pioneer, like bringing us back to the saturation thing, that I don't think there's enough like pioneering going on. That's like everything's already kind of been done or found or solved, and obviously, everybody's an individual, everybody's different, don't get me wrong, but as far as what interests me about Mars is it's a truly unique challenge, that has never been done before, or, and I'm partly joking about going to Mars, like partly, but, I think we need more of that. And I think that's what Elon Musk is giving to the world, whether or not it's SpaceX or the Boring Company, with digging, I'm sure as an architect, you have your perspective about the Boring Company. Are you hip about the Boring Company?
Well, it's definitely not boring.
Yep.
But it is all about boring.
Yeah. And
cool.
so, yeah, and I think, this was pretty dope, and we're coming up around about an hour, and Instagram limits us around an hour, so we've got about 5 minutes or so. So, once again, where can people find you?
At online, www.galaxymade.com, and Instagram,
at Galaxymade Official.
Yeah.
Great. And I'll also be leaving all of their links down in the description as well. And I want to thank everybody that, has been a participant as well as a watcher for the past month. It really means a lot. We're on the journey to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you would, please subscribe. It really helps out. And I want to thank you guys for being on. And like I said, I'll leave all of your links down in the description below for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shout out to you for,
Awesome.
For having us on your show and
Sweet.
Talking us about our potential and our come up.
Absolutely.
We hope all the best for everyone else that's on your show. And
for sure.
And maybe one day we'll see you in Toronto on Oktoberfest.
There you go. Yeah, that we have an event called Landestreffen, which is like once a year during Labor Day, and every year it goes to different clubs, so I may be up there. So if I am up there, I'll let you guys know.
For sure.
Yeah, because there's usually
we'll be our Galaxymade leader host.
No, but that's the play though, because it's like we've got like 4,000 people that come to these events. So I may even potentially be able to get you guys in as a vendor or something along those lines. So that's a conversation that we could have, and because all of their merch is kind of lame, to be completely honest. So I've always dreamt of making some dope stuff and bringing it to one of the events.
Cool.
I think on
we love Oktoberfest, and
nice.
We love German culture.
Awesome.
Good beer, good sausages.
Exactly. So all right, guys, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so
For
much.
sure.
All right, and I'll hit you guys up once I have it. Let me finish and